This is the Wealthy Retailer Podcast with your host, Dan Holman. Every episode, Dan talks with a variety of retail experts, owners, managers, and so much more, sharing their expertise, their experiences, and the retail topics that matter to you, the independent retailer. The Wealthy Retailer Podcast is brought to you by Canadian Retail Solutions. Learn more at retailbycrs.com.
Hey, retailers. Welcome back to the Wealthy Retailer Podcast. So glad you joined us again today. My guest, this is going to be a great conversation. My guest, after scaling her own clothing boutique, Knitted Belle, to 7 figures, Carina Hatton is on a mission to help others do the same. She's always loved business, having started her own business at 5. We're going to clarify that with her at 5, selling magazines door to door. And her first real job became as a cashier at a local garden center. She loved that job. She learned to work every single one of those store operations and store functions at the ripe young age of 14. And really being born from her entrepreneurial spirit combined with love of fashion, her boutique Knitted Belle has truly become this dream come true for Carina. Not only does she get to do what she loves, she was able to scale her online fashion business to an impressive 7 figures. Having experienced the unique challenges of building a successful online fashion business, she decided to put her knowledge to good use and help other entrepreneurs, or soon-to-be entrepreneurs, I like to call them wantrepreneurs, get started to grow their own businesses. She is now a sought-after coach, having helped hundreds of boutique owners experience growth they only dreamed of before Carina entered their life. And here she is on our podcast this morning. Welcome to the podcast, Carina. Thank you for joining us.
Of course. Wow. It sounds really good when you read it.
Well, it's hard for me. I could take someone's bio and read it word for word, but it just doesn't work for me. I could just read, if people want to see the bio, they can go and search it out. But yeah, I mean, there's a story to be told in everyone's biography. I mean, mine included. There's a better story than what we can write down. And that's maybe part of what we're going to do today.
Yep. Sounds awesome.
All right. Well, let's dig in. So at 5, you started selling magazines. At 14, you joined a garden center. And here you are today, a successful fashion boutique and a successful coaching business. Let's talk about how this all came to be. Let's dig into the background, and then we'll look at today and tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. So where should I start? At 5 years old, or?
Let's really start at the idea of growing your online fashion business. How did that come about to say, hey, traditional brick and mortar channel, maybe not for me. I love the online space. How did that flow?
Yeah, well, so it started because I had just had 7 figures worth of brick and mortar businesses go under. And my husband and I had taken bankruptcy and lost everything. And I have an IT background. I was a programmer, help desk, and I have a degree in programming. So I thought, okay, I can do something online. The internet actually, I think, was invented right before I started college. So, I had grown up, gone through college, the internet wasn't that great then. But by 2013, when this was going on, I started to see that there were people actually making money online. And so I went to a private school, so I never really had clothing like style. I mean, I liked looking at pictures and things like that of clothing in magazines, but I would never wear them. Right. And I would always get all my clothes from like big box stores. I had never heard of a boutique before. And so I was searching for clothing online, and I'd always wanted a retail store. And I came across a boutique, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is totally me. So now what can I do to be better than these people that are already doing this? And so that's how it started. I just didn't have any money, and I didn't want to get under, like, people would have thought I was crazy if I would have said, hey, I'm going to go sign a lease and, open a store after I had just, gone through what I had gone through.
Right.
So that's how that started.
Yeah. So you had brick and mortar retail stores?
I did. I bought a donut shop franchise back in 2003, which I still have.
Yeah.
So we do over 800,000 a year in donut sales, just one product. And so I'd had that all along, but then in between I had sold real estate. I'd done IT consulting. We had a childcare center that held 80 kids. We had an auto repair center that we paid 7 figures for. And so the auto repair center is what took us out. We had an employee steal almost $100,000 worth of tires from us in 1 month. And so, yes, I actually was the manager of the auto repair shop for about 6 months. So, and I knew nothing about, so I was like, hey, how can I help you with your tires? You know, so I quickly learned the lingo. Not only was I female, but I was the owner, and which didn't, you know, a lot of people were like, where's the guy that used to own this place? The one that knew what he was doing. Yeah. When I would come out and try to help him. So yeah, I had lots of experience with brick and mortar.
So from tires to footwear and fashion, where did you get the inspiration to start the online fashion boutique?
Well, I had always loved fashion and clothing and like the idea behind it. It seemed fun to me. It was like a fun business compared to tires that are like super boring. And so I really just wanted to do something fun, and I don't know how to sew. So if I had known how to sew, I probably would have ended up on Etsy at the time making products for myself. But since I didn't know how to do that, I knew that I could find things. And so that's what I started doing, looking for products to sell.
Okay. And so then now you attend the traditional apparel markets to source goods and populate your, I mean, it looks like it's a Shopify store.
Yeah, Shopify, definitely.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't go to market for several years. I did all my research online. This business is totally online. I find it easier to actually buy product when I could look at it on the screen versus in person, just because that's how I'm used to doing it. But I actually did become, when I started coaching, I became a Shopify partner. So now we're doing that. We built over 1,000 stores at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. 1,000 stores.
Over 1,000 last year. Yeah.
Wow.
In 1 year.
All right. So where did you find some challenge in getting the online boutique off the ground? What were some hurdles that you had to get through?
Of course, it's the eyeballs, right? I mean, that's the thing. You can have the greatest product, the greatest pricing, the greatest branding, the best looking website. If you don't have people looking at your products, you're not going to make any money. So that's the number one thing, is getting eyeballs. I didn't know any other way. Live selling didn't really totally exist when I first started. And so the only way I knew how to do it was ads. So I did social media ads. Now, since then, I have found other strategies that work much better than just throwing your money at ads. Live selling, pop-ups, events. There are all kinds of things that an e-commerce store can do, store owner can do to drive traffic back to their website without spending money on ads.
Yeah, fair. And so what do you do today to continue driving traffic to your site? What are some of your, I don't want to say strategies, but tactics? Let's be specific. What strategies and tactics are you deploying today to get people to your site? Which we know that's most important. Let's get eyes. I agree with you. Let's get some traffic there, and then, move to conversion. So what are you using to get traffic?
There are 4 pieces of it. One is your email list. So you have to have a pop-up on your website, or you might as well just not even be in business. You have to be collecting email addresses from people. And so you have to have an email marketing strategy. The second thing is social media strategy. You have to be consistent and build that like, know, and trust factor with your followers on social media, and just continuously be building the relationship and driving them to go look at your site. The next thing is live selling. I teach live selling strategies. You go live on your Facebook page, in your group, wherever you can go live, you're going live. That also mixes in with your email and your social media strategy, right? So you don't just go live, you send an email about it, you post about it. And then the last thing is events and pop-ups.
Yeah.
And those are huge because when you are an online retailer, you don't have to pay that overhead. You use other people's overhead. So you're popping up in coffee shops, galleries, hair salons, anywhere. You have to do the research and figure out where your customer hangs out, and you go there and you bring your product and you set up. And so you're basically mobile. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Okay. And so let's talk about some other hurdles that you had to overcome as you grew the business. And now, these are the same challenges that I think, every entrepreneur, every fashion-driven entrepreneur is going through. So they're going to garner a little bit of insight here. Let's talk about some of the other pains and how we get past them.
Well, I would say one of the biggest, worst things about being an online retailer is the fact that you are not in a brick and mortar talking to your customers face to face, unless you're doing a pop-up or event. So therefore, you have to work a little bit harder to create that relationship with people because they can't see you in real life. And on the flip side, because they can't see you in real life, a lot of times people will say things to you that they wouldn't normally say in person. So you really have to have thick skin, and you have to know when to stick to your guns and when to not. Because the other thing is, policies are great and all, but with the internet, one bad review in the wrong place can really hurt your business. And
Right.
So you have to walk that fine line of, I'm going to follow my policies, but yet I don't want them saying things all over the internet about my company either that could hurt me, because even though it may not be true, other people don't know that. So those are some of the hurdles that you run into with the online business, is the mean people. I mean, it can all be summed up: mean people. Or people that take advantage of you because of that. So and I recommend that my clients, we just do credit only. Because when you're online, you're a small business, you can't afford for someone to come in and spend $500 on, let's say, I've had people do it before. She bought a whole bunch of product and I sent it to her and she didn't like any of it. And she sent it all back and wanted her money back. And I said, well, it's credit only. That's in the policy, that you saw before you checked out. And she was livid. And so you can get stuff like that, there's no relationship. It's not, it's different if they're going into your storefront and buying it from a person, and having a conversation and getting clear on the policies, where the internet, you can put it there, but they probably won't read it.
Right. And so you're a fan of having some policies that are protective of your business.
Yeah, definitely
against the few that may try to take advantage of you.
I think it's a common occurrence with online, just because they don't know you as a person, and it's that barrier that you have with the online business. And so you really do have to protect yourself. And then on the other side of that, you can have people telling you, like I had a client last week, everyone's telling me my prices are too high. I feel like my prices might be too high. And I said, well, who's telling you that? Well, 3 people said it. Okay. 3 people out of 1 billion people said that your prices are too high. That means they're not your customer, but they can get into your head because they have the full capability of messaging you and saying whatever they want. And so you really have to be able to discern who to listen to and who not to listen to.
Okay. Makes sense. What, do you employ any clienteling tactic today? So you talked about an email list. How do you really make that connection with someone after they've purchased? Are you using that intelligence that's sort of garnered during the sales process to then follow back up with them?
Oh yeah. Shopify has some capabilities itself, but we do have a few apps that we use. And one of them has automations that run. It's amazing. You basically set it and forget it. And it will follow. It will follow up. It will look at how long has it been since this person's purchased from you. You know, if it's been 30 days, send them this. You can even send new customers different receipts than returning customers. So right. There's so much technology now that you can use. On top of that, you want to be sending your own emails to people. You need to have your own email strategy aside from that.
Right. Okay. So how do we help these budding, online retail entrepreneurs to really up their game? What is 2 or 3 tips to help them really start to up their game in e-com?
I would say that the number one thing is you need to make sure that you're pricing properly and that you're buying properly. One of the big things that I see with retailers, especially online, is they don't charge enough. Honestly, everyone needs to raise their prices. You need to be profitable in order to stay in business. And I think that when people are opening small businesses like this, and a lot more people have the opportunity to do so now, they see what stuff costs wholesale, and then they feel guilty about charging, 2.5, 3 times that. But you have to remember this is your job. So that's number one tip, is make sure that you're buying at the right price and selling at the right price so that you are making profits and you're making money to support yourself and stay in business. The second thing is make sure that you have a social media strategy and you have to follow it. You have to be posting at least 2 to 3 times a week at a minimum. Think about like a blog post if you come across a blog post or a website and it's really great, and the last blog post is from October of last year, it makes you wonder, are they okay? Are they still in business? Like, do they know what they're doing? So that consistency on social media builds trust with people. So if you're not posting on social consistently and following some sort of strategy, do that. So those are the top 2 issues that I see that really can help someone to up their game. Number 3, find a coach, find a community. It is a game changer. It really is. Don't do it alone. I did it all alone. I didn't know or didn't ever come across anybody that could help me. I could have done a lot more than what I did in those first few years, or a lot faster, had I been able to find a community like me. So take advantage of the communities, that you can find online, and listen to podcasts where you can get this kind of information. Right.
Do you still have a community that you lean on? Even as a coach and as an entrepreneur, as a retailer, do you have a community that you lean on to
I do
uncover what you don't know?
Oh gosh, yes. Ever since I had that first coach in 2019 that told me I should start teaching women to do what I do, I've had a coach ever since. There was 1 year, about 9 months, that I didn't, and my sales completely stalled. But right now I have about 5 coaches. And I will never go back, never, ever. And along with each of those coaches comes a community. And so the higher up you get in this business life, right, the more opportunities you have. Like one of the communities that I'm in, it's all people doing 7-8 figures in sales a year, and you have to be doing that to get in to the program. And so you always want to hang out with people that are better than you or doing more than you, because that's how you grow, right? You never, ever want to be the smartest person in the room.
Right. Right. Okay, let's shift and talk a little bit about inventory. So inventory always, what I believe is the greatest liability in any retail business. How do you manage your inventory today?
The goal is to have it gone within 30 days. And that's what I work with on my clients. We have different strategies on how to make that happen. but you can do it with live selling strategies. You can do it with events and pop-ups. But you do not want sitting inventory, because that's non-interest bearing money sitting right there. So you always want to be moving your inventory and talking to your customers, getting feedback. Okay, they really liked that. Okay, they don't like that. And you want to go deep and not wide. So you want to pick women. You want women 25 to 45. And so you go deep on stuff for them. You don't really, unless you have a built up customer base, want to go wide. So you don't ever want to start and say, okay, I'm going to have men's, women's, and children. And I'm going to carry shoes and accessories and home products. And that is the kiss of death to business right now. You have to go deep.
Right. And so do you plan or forecast sales and inventory today? Do you use any tools for forecasting?
We don't use tools. We go off of, it's more intuitional, I guess. It's more like, okay, this is selling really well. Let's do that. I feel like the forecasting stuff is just like so complicated, and more for like a big box retailer or someone that maybe if you have a warehouse, you have tons of inventory. But I work with people who have smaller businesses, less than probably $50,000 worth of inventory. So basically the idea is you just keep it moving, keep your inventory moving, and be bringing in new stuff that fits what's selling right now. And that's how I do it.
Okay. All right. What other sort of stay in the trenches, keep charging forward tips do you have for that person that is contemplating adding e-com to their business or starting an e-com business? What's sort of your go-to advice?
Someone that's already selling, just not online.
Yep.
So online is a completely different world than brick and mortar. You're going to have to learn marketing in a completely different way. The way you get someone's attention and you have to build that like, know, and trust factor is a lot harder than like, say, my donut shop, where I literally can plan out my sales for the year just based on what we've done in the past. And it's walk-in traffic, right? It's people just randomly saying, I want a donut. But I've been doing it so long, I know about this many people are going to come in. Whereas online, it's so busy that you have to do different things. So it is quite possible. And I've taught several ladies how to do it, but you just have to remember that you almost have two different customers, right? Because in brick and mortar, you've got the people in your local area. And when you go online, you have the world as your customer. So we were just talking about this today as far as seasonal products are concerned. Seasonal products, like having the end of season sale, is kind of almost an outdated theory because, when you're online, is it really out of season? Because, maybe someone's going skiing. Maybe you have customers on the other side of the world that it's cold there and it's warm where you're at. So the whole idea of like the seasonality is completely kind of irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I mean, I think our seasons have certainly become blurred. Used to be we had 4 distinct seasons, and now maybe we have 2 buying and non-buying seasons. Spring, summer, fall, winter, depending on what climate you're in, there isn't really a significant difference from season to season. We're looking for those opportunities to carry similar products across the entire year. And certainly, e-commerce if nothing else, has given us the ability to be seasonless. We are always buying, for travel.
Yeah, exactly.
Or for, whatever. Yeah.
Well, and we were talking about just make a collection. Like, okay, this is the ski collection. This is the resort collection.
Right.
Rather than, this is winter,
Yep. That makes sense. All right. So let's just chat for a minute. Where do people find you? We can share the knittedbell.com fashion side, but where do they find you in coaching, in your online boutique coaching?
The best place is onlineboutiquecoaching.com. That's my main website. And then I'm on Facebook as Grow Your Boutique. And I've got a group connected to that Facebook page. So that's where I hang out every day is I have a group. I do trainings in there, coaching, store audits, all kinds of stuff.
So all on your Facebook page, Grow Your Boutique.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Grow Your Boutique on Facebook. All right. Retailers, if you're looking for a little bit more, head over to Facebook and Grow Your Boutique. Check out that group. Carina, thank you so much for joining us. Retailers, if you haven't subscribed to the Canadian Retail Solutions weekly newsletter, now's a good chance to do it. There'll be a copy of this podcast, a little more information on how to find, where and how to find Carina, and some more information on both her retail store and her online coaching platform. Carina, thank you again for joining us. It's been a pleasure to chat. And retailers, I hope you have a great week.